Hey there, and thanks for joining us on GamePoints, our weekly little get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is David Smith. Tonight on GamePoints episode 75, there really is only one big story to talk about there, David, and that is the Nintendo Switch presentation that happened last week. That's going to be what starts us off and possibly what even ends us. If you're watching us live here on Twitch TV/GamePoints, feel free to join in the chat. Add in your thoughts and feelings about the Switch as we go on, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. If you're watching us on our YouTube page, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and all that stuff down below, or even dislike for all I care, to be quite honest with you. Boy, oh boy, I don't think we really have much of a lead up. We don't have anything else to get into things, so we're just going to go ahead and kick the show right off with what is going to be the biggest news story we have, and likely the only one. That's the Nintendo Switch conference.
Hey, finally.
Yay. David, did you watch this at all? I know you're not interested in the Switch.
With just 2 months left before a console release, it's good that they decided to talk about it. Very exciting. I actually did catch quite a bit of it.
How did you like it?
Although it was in bits and pieces, mostly just...
Say that again. It looks like it kind of fizzed out there for a second.
Do we want to get into that now?
Well, we'll go down the list. I have a bunch of pros and cons, and we'll discuss them each. A couple things. One, if you do want to watch the full presentation of the conference, it will be posted in the YouTube description down below. You just click right on there, and it's the full Japanese broadcast with translators. Two, we're not going to discuss the entirety of the conference. We're not going to go over every game announced or anything like that. We're just a few highlights from it. So this is by no means going to be an in-depth breakdown of what was shown, just more opinion on what we think about it. And three, like I hinted at earlier, David, you're not a fan of Nintendo or the Switch. You had no interest in this. I, however...
Going into it, no.
Yeah.
I was going in with the hopes of being switched.
I was going in excited. I was really fucking excited for the Switch. I was like, all right, here we go. This is going to be Nintendo of old. I'm going to have a good time watching this. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to try to get one when it comes out. And then an hour after the conference when it started, I was just done. I am very disappointed in what they showed. I think it's Nintendo being Nintendo. I think it's them being gimmicky for gimmicky's sake. And I think they're sacrificing gameplay for being different and quirky. And that is a fucking tragedy, because they keep trying to cater to this increasingly small fan base without winning back any old fans. They keep trying to strike what they had with the Wii again. And what they don't realize is that the Wii was a fad. There's a reason why it became a bargain basement belle of the ball, as it were. It sold like hotcakes the first year or so it was out, and then gone. And the Wii U did worse. I mean, the Wii did really well, but people stopped caring not long after launch. The Wii U didn't capture that excitement, and I don't think this is either. But there were some good things to come out of it, so we're going to go over the pros and cons. David, any initial thoughts before we get right into some meat of the things? Was there anything you wanted to say before we start breaking down what we think in detail?
It's the Wii U too.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
It's we can get into that more.
The Wii.
It's the Wii U too, in a lot of ways.
1 second, let me get a drink here, and then we'll start right on.
Well,
throat's dry, and it's probably going to be really dry by the end of this because I sense multiple rants coming.
The biggest thing that we can talk about, the thing that we've been waiting for the last 8 months, we finally know how much the damn thing's going to cost.
Yeah, well, I want to say it was officially announced in October, so I don't want to say 8 months, but it's been a while. But yeah, we do know how much it's cost and release date. It is going to come out March 3rd, 2017 for $299.99.
Oh.
Initial thoughts, David?
That's great. That's makes it easier to decide if I want that or an Xbox or a PS4. They're all the same price, and the other two do everything better.
Very true. I will say a couple things. One, a March 3rd release date is significantly quicker than I thought it was going to be. I expected end of March, not first half of March. Two, $299 for the price point. It is on the high end of the acceptability scale to me, but still within reason. I was kind of hoping it was going to be $249, like the rumor was saying for a while there. On a side tangent, I think this kind of shows that some of the rumor mongers were only about 25% right. And I know I quoted a bunch of them on the last show, and I think she kind of ate a little bit of shit on this one, which is a shame because she has been right multiple times. But it looks like a lot of her predictions for what was going to be announced didn't quite come to fruition.
That's why I don't report from those people.
Yeah, fair enough. They do have some credibility behind them, though, although it did take a hit recently, although they got some things right, too. Not going to necessarily get into that detail. If you want to get into that kind of mudslinging, you can go to, like, Reddit or any number of things.
Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter.
Where it belongs.
Put it on Twitter where it belongs, where all the hate and the scum and the villainy of the internet meet up. But yeah, $2.99. What do you think, just on the price alone, what do you think about that price?
Well, the big thing that I guess I'll just get into right now is the way the Switch is presented is they're not attempting to be the set-top box for you. Period. If you are the kind of person that's going to get a Nintendo Switch, I highly doubt it is your only game console. They're specifically catering to people that already own Xboxes or PlayStation 4s because it will not be able to replace either of those consoles. It's worse than both graphically, and it's now just as expensive. Yeah, so they're trying to land in the middle ground where the Wii was. Because you remember when the Wii came out, during that console war, it was perfectly fine to have a Wii as a second console. Even if you're a PlayStation or Xbox fan, doesn't matter. Both of those things are $400. Wii's $250. Go pick it up and play all of those first-party Nintendo games you want. And then when you want your current third-party AAA games, you go to your actual console. This is looking to set up the exact same way. And we can get into all the stuff that was announced for it, but looking at it, I'm willing to bet that the Switch is going to do what the last 3 Nintendo consoles have done. It's going to have between 1 to 4 fantastic AAA first-party game releases per year and nothing else.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question I asked. Based on that price alone, what do you think? Do you think that's a good price for what we're getting or not? No. Okay.
No. That's what I'm getting at. They priced it out to where it's the same price as the other consoles that you would actually want if you want to play new games.
Okay, I just wanted to tie it all together there, just to make sure that.
All right, I'm sorry. I needed to wrap it back around.
Well, there's going to be a lot of ranting and stream consciousness on this one. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. I'm annoyed.
Another thing, and the next thing, no region locking.
That's amazing.
About fucking time. Sony has had you beat to this for a long time.
That's the single best plan.
Yeah. This is something that you should have done a long time ago, especially considering how import happy a lot of people who like Nintendo products are. But yeah, no region locking for the Wii U, or not the Wii U. Bit of a Freudian slip there for the Nintendo Switch. Awesome, good on them. Expandable memory with micro SDXC cards, also good. This report here from Game Informer.
I have like 2 terabytes of extra memory, which is hella good.
Yeah, not even on the market yet, but it will be compatible with up to 2 terabytes according to this GameInformer.com article here. Awesome, expandable memory.
Oh, so those aren't priced as bad as getting like a giant SSD for one of the other consoles. So
yeah, and nor is it Vita dumb, with their proprietary bullshit. CoolCat69 says, "I'm going to die now until Suikoden 6." Awesome. Good luck with that. You're never going to see another Suikoden again, unfortunately, with the way Konami has been treating all their franchises. And I mean, yeah, that right, Konami that should explain.
But it was announced in like 2012.
What, Suikoden 6? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This game's never coming. That said, the JRPGs are kind of a highlight on the Switch, but we'll get into that as we get later in the show. Some of the games they showed off: Splatoon 2 looks fun. If you like Splatoon, this is more Splatoon. That's coming out summer 2017. Shocked, absolutely shocked. It is not a launch title.
And we say that about a lot of stuff.
Super Mario Odyssey also looks like a blast. Taking place in New Donk City, I believe, which has to be a Donkey Kong reference of some kind. But I have one big problem with the game.
Yeah.
Mario is in New York City, running around with what should be other humans, right? AKA people that look like him. But what they fucking did is that they took a realistic human and put it next to Cartoon Mario, as you can see right here. I can't...
He's like knee tall.
I can't wrap my head around that. So clearly Mario's not human either, or if he is, he's like the most deformed Danny DeVito son of a bitch I've ever seen.
Maybe he needs a mushroom to turn into a regular guy.
I
Or
don't
he's
like
just
this.
tripping, and that's how he sees himself. Although, honestly, watching that trailer, it looks like he goes to a bunch of different worlds. So I think it's less about. I mean, think you had Mario Galaxies going to like planets and stuff. Maybe he's actually going through universes, and
Maybe.
so everyone is made up of different things. Like maybe he starts in like regular Mushroom Kingdom where everyone looks like some variation of a Mario character, and then he goes to flipping New York and he's running around with regular people.
Maybe.
It's
I'm
totally
thinking that the New Donk City is going to be the hub world, and then he travels from there to other places like things to Mario Sunshine or Mario 64. But man, that is just a jarring art choice. That said, the game itself looks amazing.
yeah. It looks super
Cool
fun.
Cats Fire Emblem Warriors does look amazing. Or let me rephrase that. The concept of it is amazing. They just showed like a 10-second teaser for it that said Fire Warrior Muso. I like the idea of it. We'll see how that shakes out. It's a Dynasty Warriors game. You know what you're going to get. I enjoy them, but I don't go nuts for them. Oh, shout out before we go on to the next game that they talked about. Bowser had a sick ass pimp hat in that trailer.
Oh, dude, Bowser's whole outfit was on point.
Yeah, that white wedding suit. It's going to finally make an honest woman out of Princess Peach, I think. Surprise announcement of Xenoblade 2. Cool. I like Xenoblade. I like Xenoblade Chronicles X. I like Xenoblade Chronicles.
No, that
Looking forward to
that one's pretty clutch actually.
Atlas. Atlas announced that their next big game, next Mega 10 game, is going to be on the Switch, and I was really concerned that it was going to be Switch exclusive. But if you take a look at their website, which I have right up here celebrating their 25th anniversary, they are highlighting two things. One, a 3DS project that is supposed to be coming soon. No idea what that is. But if you look to the right, it says HD Project, and that's the title that they showed at the Nintendo Switch presentation. The fact that it doesn't say Switch Project, to me, means that game, presumably Shin Megami Tensei 5, is going to be on all consoles instead of just the Switch. So my fears about that have been alleviated, because after what I saw Thursday, I believe the conference was, I'm not getting a Switch. One more big game I want to mention before we move on to the rant portion of this. Breath of the Wild looks fucking fantastic.
Yep. That is the selling point for the console.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am not spending $360 for a Zelda game. That's with the cost of that and the console combined.
If you already have a Wii U, you can just spend $60 for the Zelda game.
Yeah, well, I don't.
It's not
going
to
to
look as good, but technically, it's the game that was supposed to launch on that console anyway.
A couple things we don't know before I get into the shit that really bothered me about the Switch. One, they released no specs on the console itself. We have no idea what's in it. We have no idea how much it costs Nintendo to make for it. Let me phrase that. We have no idea how much each console costs for Nintendo to make. So we don't know if they're sending that a loss, if they're breaking even, if there's a profit to be made.
They wouldn't say that during this conference.
But this is supposed to be the reveal conference. You would figure they would have some tech specs on there to kind of highlight, hey, this is what we're talking about.
Well, nothing about this console has been standard.
Yeah, true. I mean, Nintendo definitely marches to beat of its own drum.
Yeah. Although I will mention the game that you completely forgot, and that is Hyper Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers, which actually looks super awesome. But I have issues with that too that we'll get into.
All right. So the list of cons, and boy, are there a lot of them, in my opinion. One, no pack-in game. So no Wii Sports equivalent for this system. You buy the system and it's just the console itself. You had to spend another $40 to $60 to get games for it.
To get literally anything.
Yeah.
Even the games that'll show off what the system does.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of the other companies don't really do that until a few months later when they're offering the system bundles. But Nintendo traditionally has.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a step back. That could be why the console is $299 instead of $399 out the gate. A big one, in my opinion, here is the fucking battery life. Now, this thing is touted as a hybrid home console portable system. They're saying that the battery life is anywhere between 2.5 to 6 hours. Now, that's dev math. Your results are probably going to be closer between 2 to 4 hours tops. And they did say it's going to vary depending on what game you're playing. So if you're playing something like Breath of the Wild or Skyrim or something that's really graphically intensive, quote unquote, that battery life is
probably
going
closer
to be
to that too.
real quick. Yeah, I would say it probably even less than 2. That is just me saying that. That's based on previous experience with other handhelds and stuff. But when you say 2.5 to 6 hours, the reality is 1.5 to 4, and
That's a bummer.
that's fucking tragic considering that this is being sold as something that you're supposed to take on the go with you everywhere.
Well, maybe on the go is just, you're playing a game and then you need to go to the kitchen, so you just keep playing your game in the kitchen and then you go back and put it back.
No, because their whole marketing thing was you can take this out to like a fucking park with 4 other Switches, or up to 8, and play against other people. And it's like, okay, cool. For an hour? Come on, guys. Next problem I have.
Well, I mean, think of all the accessories they can make that are like the mobile charging packs and charging stations and all that other.
We'll get to that here in a second. But first, while we're on the, before we get to like the other shit they're talking about, let's focus on the controllers. The controls are fucking microscopic. I got a picture up here to show you how tiny it is.
Breaks in half and has a little thing in the middle.
This thing is like I don't even. My hands would cramp up playing that. Look how small that is.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to talk about my issues with Street Fighter, because while they're showing it, the system comes with one console, or one full-size controller, which is 2 of those little controllers that you can stick together for one big controller. That, then all of a sudden has all the buttons you'd normally need. When it's in half, one, it's the smallest thing in the world. It's the size of the remote for my Roku on my TV. It's tiny.
But it's a little bit bigger than like a sunglasses case.
Each one of those little baby controllers only has a joystick. And for anyone that likes playing, anybody that likes playing fighting games, unless you're the kind of person that plays with like an arcade joystick, like an actual legit setup, fighting games are a D-pad game.
Yep.
You need a D-pad to be able to throw fireballs and shuriken people and all that other fun stuff. So the excitement for Hyper Street Fighter 2 is annoying, because in order to play that game, you're going to have to get one of the full-size controllers, but it only comes with one. So you're going to have to then shell out money for additional controller ports.
And the money will flow if you're looking to buy accessory to this fucking thing. Let's go ahead and talk about the absurd, and I mean absurd, fucking accessory prices. What you're seeing right here is from the official Nintendo webpage. Spiky Jet Fade, by the way. Nice. Thanks for joining the chat. The system itself, $299, comes with more or less what you see there. But let's get down to the accessories here. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Essentially, their equivalent of a DualShock 4 or the Xbox One controller. Those things are what, $50 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo wants fucking $69.99. They want $20 more than their HD equivalents for there.
Well, the controller breaks in half.
No. This is for the Pro controller. This is for one.
Oh, for the actual controller that looks like a regular Xbox controller.
Yes. I do want to mention that Spike Jet Fade does say that Trump has to like that controller because of his tiny hands. I was actually thinking about making that same joke, and I completely forgot to do it. So thank you for mentioning it, because that joke writes itself. But yeah, Pro controller.
Let's talk about. Okay, so that's the Pro controller, the one that actually.
That's the one that if you want to play fighting games, it has the D-pad on there.
But if you want to get back to the gimmick, let's go to the Joy-Cons.
For a set,
get red and blue,
little tiny fuckers, $79.99. For one individual one, be it left or right, in case you lose one, $49.99. What the fuck, Nintendo? For the goddamn charging grip, and this is what really drives me nuts. Notice it says Joy-Con charging grip, $29.99. This is so that the Joy-Con controllers can charge while you're playing. This charging grip is not what you get with the Switch itself. What you get with the Switch is just the Joy-Con grip, not the Joy-Con charging grip. Which means that handle thing that you can put the 2 controllers in when you just want to sit back and play from afar is a hunk of plastic with nothing in it. The fucking dock.
It's literally just a breaker to make the controller big enough so it's actually a controller.
Absolutely. That's all it is. The dock itself, which according to reports is also just a hunk of plastic, $89.99. And all that does is fucking connect it to your TV. It gives no extra processing power or anything like that. It's just a pass-through to your TV.
It hooks it up to power so it can run at the higher resolution.
No, from what I'm hearing from people who have actually gotten a hold of the Switch and looked at it, there's really nothing in there other than the charger and the ability to hook up to the TV. Keep in mind, until they actually break it open, we're not sure on that, but there's no
Well,
extra
no, that's why I'm saying when you plug
processing
it into
power
the
in there.
charger, that's how it knows that it can go to the higher resolution. I'm assuming it's like your laptop when it's plugged in.
But
It
that
operates
means
through
the guts though don't have that in there. That's all in the tablet itself. But they're still
Yeah.
charging $89.99 for this fucking thing. And the Joy-Con wheel set, these are the fucking wheel remotes for $49.99. Now, we do have a couple comments from chat. I want to mention them up. Spike Fiat says he loves the offset sticks. The offset sticks do look awesome. I will admit that. I like the way that looks. I'm totally fine with that. As far as what price point I think it should be, I think the Nintendo Pro controller should be no more than what Sony and Microsoft charge for their controllers, and that's $49.99, or is it $59.99?
It's still less than 70.
It's still less than 79, I can tell you that, or 69. As far as the little handheld guys, same thing. Those should be priced at the exact same price point. Nintendo is asking for you to pay an extra premium for the same controller, essentially, that the other two biggest competitors are charging for, just because of the name Nintendo. That's where my issue comes in. The accessories are fucking overpriced. In addition, $90 for the dock, which from what I hear has no processing power to the dock. All it does is tell the Switch itself to go to a different render mode. And that means it's built into the tablet, not the Switch itself. And the fact that they have the gumption to charge for an extra charging grip, and it doesn't come packed in with one. That's
so
all
with the base
bullshit.
console, how do you charge your controllers?
You have to put them on the sides, which means you can't play it on your TV while it's charging.
Which also means that while your controllers are charging, the console is dying.
Yes.
Or you're not playing at all because you have the controllers
else I didn't
sitting
think
on
about.
the console. That's how you charge it.
The Switch itself says it gets 2.5 hours of battery life. Does that go down if it has to charge up your controller simultaneously? Let's say you've drained your controllers.
Maybe that's what that 2 hours window is.
Maybe. I don't know. All of that's overpriced. The console itself for $299, totally fine with. That seems reasonable to me. On the high end of reasonable, but reasonable. The accessories are fucking ludicrous and should be easily $20 cheaper across the board.
Well, aren't those two halves just basically smaller Wiimotes?
They have something called HD Rumble in them. That's one thing that they were really hammering home during the conference, and apparently it's super fancy Rumble that lets you tell the difference between if you're holding, like, the example they used is you can tell if you have 1, 2, or 3 ice cubes in hand by the way it's rumbling. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that means nothing to me. But there is more than just a remote in there.
All right, that's fair. Because Wiimotes are super cheap. That's where
absolutely. Next big problem that I had with it so far is the fucking online service. Once again, we're going to be looking at Nintendo's official webpage here. But Nintendo Switch Online Service, a paid service launching fall 2017, which immediately gets rid of one of the biggest advantages Nintendo had, in that they were only buoyant on the market that didn't make you pay to go online. That's now changed.
Hey, Sony caved. Why shouldn't Nintendo cave?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way of eliminating one of their advantages. So now they are, when it comes to the online thing, they are quote-unquote equal in the eyes of the consumer because, well, it depends how much they're going to charge, I guess I should say. But it does hurt them.
That's the thing I'm waiting for.
Free trial period starts in March. The paid service launches fall 2017. It's probably a free trial period because, from what I can tell, almost nothing is going to be using the online part of it as far as AAA titles go until the fall. No word on pricing, no word on details. It does go on, however, down here to say online lobby and voice chat, and then says that you have to have a fucking smart device app. This is something that consoles have been doing for years now, built into the console itself. Now, this could be poorly written, and I could be interpreting it wrong, but if I'm reading this right, they're saying that you need a cell phone app to be able to talk to other fucking people playing the Switch.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I know. I'm
assuming that's a completely separate app that you can download.
That has to be written wrong, right? That can't be right.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing:
if they're gonna have a paid online service, then that means they're finally gonna revamp their online systems, right? No more friend codes.
You would think, but they don't go into details on that. There's no pricing details or anything like that on here.
Okay.
Like, I don't trust Nintendo to do the smart thing here. I think
Well, just because
this
their
reads.
online services have been notoriously bad.
Yeah, I think this is
They're not
going
good
to
at
be
making it
exactly
clean.
as it reads. That you'll have to get a fucking smartphone app to connect to the Wii U, and you talk on your phone to other people.
There's just no way. It's
I
too ridiculous.
I feel like that's what it's going to be. Yeah, I feel that's ridiculous too. But
If
we are
you're paying
talking
monthly
Nintendo
for it,
here.
that makes sense.
Here's the biggest thing that pissed me off. If you look a little bit down here, the monthly game download. So the equivalent of like what Xbox and PlayStation do with their subscription service, right? Every month you get a couple free games, and you get to keep them as long as you have the service, right?
Yeah.
Not so with Nintendo. Now, do you know anything about this, or is this going to be your first time hearing it?
No.
Okay, so PlayStation and Xbox both have their thing. You pay their fee, you get a couple games. If you stop paying the fee, you don't get access to those games anymore. Nintendo has something like that built into place where you get one Nintendo or Super Nintendo game a month.
Like original NES or Super NES game a month?
Yep.
So not like an indie game or a
no.
or a first
one Nintendo or Super Nintendo game. One essentially a ROM a month.
Okay. Virtual console games. That's cool.
And when that month's over, they take it away unless you pay for it.
Like pay for the service or then buy the game?
No, you have to buy the game.
So that thing I was talking about how they might work on their online service and make it palatable.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I?
Like you could keep paying for the service.
Why would I pay a monthly fee to get monthly demos of games that I probably already own?
It's a fucking ROM. It is a fucking ROM. And they don't even let you keep it for subscribing to whatever their online service is going to be. You can't tell me this costs them anything to put out, because the fucking work has already been done by the internet community. So, yeah, here's, let's say this month you get fucking Super Mario 3. Okay, cool. At the end of the month, you want to keep buying Super Mario 3? You gotta pay for it and still pay for the fucking Switch service. For the Switch online service. Fucking terrible. That just shows that Nintendo still doesn't fucking get, what, 10, 12, how long is Xbox Live, which is the first real big online service for consoles? How long has that been out?
2006?
Ever since the first Xbox, right? When that launched. Nintendo still, to this day, does not get how fucking online gaming works. And they're trying to make the money off of it that Nintendo and that Sony and Microsoft are doing without fucking understanding why that works for them. You're asking people to fucking buy a ROM after letting them play it for a fee already for a month. God damn, Nintendo. Come on, you're fucking up. I want the Switch to be good. I want it to be the console that reminds me of the old Nintendo, Super Nintendo days. This is not how you go about it.
If they get the great games and they don't fuck it up, but they're already trying to fuck it up.
Well, let's already go into some of the games. Now, we talked about the ones that looked cool at the beginning of the show.
Mario, Breath of the Wild, that new Atlas game.
Breath of the Wild, by the way, launch title. Go them. Looks fucking amazing. I do, however...
Actually, let's go back a second. Let's talk about that. Because on launch day for the Nintendo Switch, on the day it comes out, there is one reason to buy it. And that's Breath of the Wild. Absolutely. You know what other games are coming out?
It's a bunch of ports.
1-2 Switch, which is the game that probably should be a packed-in game.
Yeah, 1-2 Switch should absolutely be a packed-in, and it shows that Nintendo still focus over gimmick over gameplay.
Super Bomberman, which actually looks pretty cool, but again, I don't think that's a full-price game.
I'm also hearing, real quick before you go on, I'm hearing rumors that that Bomberman game might have microtransactions all up and down it.
We don't have time to get into that. So, Zelda, 1-2 Switch, Super Bomberman, Skylanders Imagineers, which already came out, and Just Dance 3. Or Just Dance 2017.
Yeah, fuck that.
Those are the actual games that come out on launch day. Now, there's a bunch of other games that come out in spring, Disgaea 5 being one of them, Popoyo, Rhyme, and ARMS, which looks pretty decent for a fighting game.
Spike had mentioned ARMS as well.
Later in March, there's Snipper Clips, which some people are saying is really fun, but pretty much the rest of it is just coming out that year. Like, if you look at the entire list of games that are going to be released that year, it's 12, 13 games.
It's bad. It's really bad.
And of those games, there are 5 new titles.
And
like
what the fuck
actual
is
new games that haven't been already released on a different console.
what
You
the
have
fuck has
Mario, you
Nintendo
have
been working
Zelda,
on?
you have the Ultra Street Fighter 2, which looks cool, but I don't want to pay an extra $60 to have another controller to play it with a friend. Steep's already out, FIFA, Siberia, Dragon Ball, like these games already exist.
Yeah, it's bad.
This is your launch lineup.
I have to ask what Nintendo's been working on because it's not like they released much last year for the Wii U, and they couldn't have put all of Nintendo's resources into just Mario, ARMS, 1-2 Switch, and Zelda. And keep in mind, that is spread out for the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the next few months, because that fucking Mario game's holiday, I think. It's bad. And their third-party support, remember back during when they first revealed the Switch on Fallon and all that, and they were doing their hype train getting going, because I can't fucking talk. They mentioned all this third-party support, and here's all these third parties. And you know what? They have some good stuff from Atlas. They had some good stuff from fucking Square, despite Square naming their shit things like Project Octo Traveler Fantasy or whatever, Octopath Traveler, because it's a fucking Square name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they need the support of the big guys, EA, Activision, Bethesda, and what those people showed was fucking horrible. One, Bethesda shows Skyrim, right? A game from 2011 that you can buy for fucking $20 with everything on it, which they're still charging $60 for, on a system that's only going to let you play roughly 3 hours at a time when you're moving it around because the battery's going to die, for a game that's 150 plus hours.
Yeah, but it's Skyrim. They just had an HD re-release.
Yeah, I don't fucking care. It's 11 years old. 11 years old. It's 6 years old. Old game is old. Give me something fucking new. And then EA showed up to the conference in the most unenthusiastic presentation ever and went, "We have FIFA Switch coming." Now,
Considering it's EA, and they always make a big deal out of everything.
Let's break this down a little bit. EA has a massive library, and they publish prolifically on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, as well as handhelds and mobile and all kinds of stuff. The fact that they showed only one game for the Switch, and it still is in the end a port of FIFA. No original ideas, nothing that uses the Switch itself, nothing that actually embraces the idea of what the Switch is. Excuse me. Means they don't fucking care about this console.
Well, because keeping in mind that FIFA is also the least risky franchise for them to bring to the Switch, because FIFA games sell worldwide, not just in the States, but Japan, Europe, everywhere, because soccer is huge.
I believe that FIFA is their biggest seller. It might not sound like it if you live in America, but that thing fucking flies off the shelves everywhere else. One second, I have to cough again. Let me mute myself before I pack up along. David, take over.
All right. Well, the short version is I am disappointed in the launch lineup for the Switch. I want there to be a lot of good games, and I really wanted them to announce the stuff that was going to sell me the console. And on launch day, I mean, I really don't want to pay $360 to play Zelda. I just don't. Even by the end of the year, I'd be paying $400 something to play Zelda and Mario.
Yeah, fuck that.
And I mean,
so you're not the only one.
It's really hard to justify getting the console for just a couple games when you know that you could get an Xbox or a PS4 for the same price and have access to a much bigger game library and a much better online service.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you get a PlayStation, get a PlayStation Plus, you're getting free games every month. If you get Xbox Live, you're getting free games.
As long as you keep subscribing to this online system.
Yeah, and we know that they have. I mean, they have voice chat built in. They have all kinds of fancy stuff that they do. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not the only one that doesn't have faith in this system. The fact that EA is only announcing FIFA, the fact that Bethesda only announced Skyrim, both of which are essentially ports, no other games on the board. Activision didn't even show up.
Well, investors don't care either, because the other big thing that happened is Nintendo stock dropped pretty significantly.
Yeah, it dropped about 6 points afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the day of, and then the next day or the day after, it dropped another 2 or 3.
Okay, nice. This console is, once again, for the hardcore Nintendo fan only, and that is an audience that shrinks yearly.
It's the Wii U, too. They were trying to make the Wii, too, but they didn't.
Anyways, one more question before we bounce off to the other topic of the show I want to get to, and that is that...
Well, actually, I'm going to go with the comment from chat. Spike saying it's interesting how Nintendo isn't pushing the family console angle, and I actually kind of agree with that because they're not forcing that on you. They're not trying to make this the super family friendly console because they're showing all these other things. But you can tell from a design standpoint, it's still built to be that console. Looking at the tiny controllers, the portable aspect. I mean, this thing's made to be stuffed in the back of a minivan.
Yeah, I keep saying this over and over again, but Nintendo is more focused right now on gimmick over gameplay. And that's what this is, another goddamn gimmick, because they keep trying to capture that lightning in the bottle that was the Wii over again. And people are done with Nintendo. They went, okay, the Wii was cool for 6 months. Oh, really? Look at all this shovelware. We don't want this anymore. Let's put this in the closet and let it gather dust.
I mean, it's still gonna sell. I mean, pre-orders are selling out places because people are gonna pick it up to play Zelda. People are gonna pick it up.
In fact, GameStop is sold out already.
In a year and a half, 2 years from now, I bet you can walk into a GameStop and pick one up for $150 used.
Yeah, probably. I mean, this thing needed
because I just don't think there's gonna be that many big games that come out per year. You're gonna get the big Nintendo games that come out every 3 to 6 months for the life of the console, and nothing else.
I will pick one up when it is bargain basement prices and play Mario, Zelda.
It'll get a Smash Brothers. It'll get a Mario Party. It might get a Metroid. It might get something vaguely related to Star Fox. It's
bad. It's bad all around. And I wanted this to be good. Once again, I need to reiterate.
Dude,
I went into this.
We talked about that. I really wanted them to bring me back into the fold. I wanted to be excited.
Anyways,
I just need more games. Need more games. 13 games and only 5 new ones does not sell me a Switch.
Yeah, Switch coming out March 3rd this year for $299.99 if you want one. I will say good luck finding one. Nintendo's already sold out. There's only really one other thing that I want to mention before we get on to new releases topic of the week, and it's not that big of a news story, but it is a little personal, especially with David here. And that is Guerrilla Cambridge has shut down. This article comes via gamesindustry.biz. Let me go ahead and bring that up right here. Sony is closing the Cambridge branch of the Guerrilla Games. GameIndustry.biz has learned. All employees will be laid off. It is a total firing. They're just done with it. Sony has confirmed that the impending shutdown to us, saying that the compulsory redundancies are regrettable and that the decision to close the studio comes from a review of all current PlayStation projects, resources, with Platform Holding concluding that in order to deliver on our strategic objectives, it is necessary to make some changes to the European studio structure. Long story short, Riggs didn't sell well.
Which is a bummer. But, I mean, it's a VR-only game. I think Riggs is awesome. I think that game's super fun. I can get that they're targeting the VR audience, and I mean, only so many people bought a PlayStation VR. They can't expect this game to be the #1 seller, but it's still a bummer.
It is. One thing to note that this is Guerrilla Cambridge. This is not Guerrilla Games Amsterdam. Those are the guys who are doing Horizon Zero Dawn and the makers of the Killzone series. This is a spin-off studio from them.
But these are the guys that were making Medieval.
Yes, they were. This was formerly known as Saponi Computer Entertainment Europe Cambridge. So yeah, they're shut down. That sucks that those guys are all out of a job. However, Cambridge is kind of a hotspot for game development. There are a bunch of other studios there, so I'm sure that the super talented guys there will be able to find jobs doing something at least. And that does it for the news this week. Like I said, a slow news week, mainly focused on the Switch because honestly, that kind of sucked the oxygen out of everything. One game at launch that I care about, everything else is way far down the road. That's a fucking shame. But, David, if you are looking forward to playing Zelda, and you can't wait till March 3rd, what can you play right now to tide you over until then?
Well, nothing that's similar to Zelda. But how about some adventure and platforming games? So, coming out this week, we have 2064 read-only memories for PS4 and PC. This is actually just a re-release of an already out game. Read-only memories came out,
last year.
A few months ago? Or last year? Okay. And it's
technically a few months ago and last year are the same.
That's true. It's an adventure style game.
It looks kind of like
this is more up your alley than mine.
Yeah, it looks to me like not tonally or anything like that, but you know the way like Shadowgate played or Deja Vu or all those old adventure games that were big in the late 80s.
It's like a visual novel,
90s.
cyberpunk, point and click style game. I mean, it gets good reviews. It's rated positive on Steam and all that good stuff. So
it's all right. I personally think that it kind of got a lot of undue coverage because of who made it as opposed to what's in it. But that's a conspiracy theory for another time.
yeah, good deal. Also releasing on PS4, we have the Flame and the Flood Complete Edition. This game's already on both PC and Xbox, so it's just the PS4 or the PS4 release, more or less. It is a survival game.
A quasi-survival game that's roguelike in a post-societal America is what they call it. Interesting art style.
Girl
The
on
game
a river.
itself looks meh. What else?
I think probably the bigger thing that's releasing this week is Gravity Rush 2 for PS4. I really like the art style for Gravity Rush. It's got that kind of cel-shaded, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call that.
Something I find odd about the release of this game is that the first game was Vita only.
Mm-hmm.
Odd that they made the decision to make Gravity Rush 2 PlayStation 4 only, especially since they didn't bring the first one over to PlayStation 4.
Oh, well, maybe they will at some point. It kind of sucks for the Vita, though.
Yeah, well, the Vita's a dead system. That thing's been dying for 6 years.
Well, maybe if they didn't make the memory cards so expensive.
Perhaps.
Anyway, Gravity Rush 2 is probably the more stylish game coming out this week. We also have Fate Extella, the Umbral Star for PS4 and Vita. Hey, look, Vita's not completely dead. It gets Umbral Star, a game that probably 6 people will buy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what this game is. I only added it to the list because the Fate series is really big with people who are into anime and visual novels. It's big enough to mention.
I mean, it's an action run around / monsters game. It's stylish enough. I don't know. It's a weird week. Everyone's talking about the Switch. There's not really anything else.
Yeah, next week.
And neither are we. Yeah, back to normal next week. It'll be great.
Anyways, new releases for what they're worth. Not many. Next week, they do get better, I promise. David.
Yes.
This is part of the show that brings us to Topic of the Week. And this week's Topic of the Week is, what forgotten Nintendo games do we want more of? Now, this is in the spirit of the Switch presentation, and we started thinking about the old nostalgia we had for the console, and what games that we would like to see get remade, sequeled, brought over, updated, anything like that. Now, if you're in the chat, feel free to join us here. Feel free to comment down on the YouTube pages, watch us on YouTube as well. Let us know what games you want to see revived. Now, here are the criteria. 1, any Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, or DS franchises that have not appeared on the Wii, the Wii U, or the 3DS. Essentially, we were looking for older games pre-Wii that haven't been visited in a while.
Spike in chat immediately shouted out GoldenEye. That's a good call.
GoldenEye, they did try to redo that on the GameCube with GoldenEye Rogue Agent. Didn't work out too well, but GoldenEye is amazing.
On that line, you can also follow the Perfect Dark train.
Yeah, they did Perfect Dark 0 for Xbox though, because apparently Rare owns that, not Nintendo. But I would like to see an actual, honest to God, good.
That's
Perfect
the other
Dark.
difficulty is with Rare being on Xbox now. You can't really see those games come back.
We are looking specifically for games that are heavily associated with Nintendo, though. So, for example, Perfect Dark would apply. David, why don't you go ahead and start with your list, and then I'll get to mine afterwards. So go ahead and kick us off there.
All right, mine is, I don't know if this is an overly serious pick. Well, it's not, but I'm going to say it anyway. I want Super The Force Awakens.
Like done up in the style of Super Star Wars and all that shit?
Yeah, I remember Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi. Those games were awesome. They were a little difficult. They were super fun. I want the Force Awakens to get that super treatment. Bring that back.
I'll allow it. It's a kind of skirting the edges of what I'm going for here, but that definitely is worth talking. What else?
On the outside.
Go ahead and go through your list, and I'll go through mine.
Oh, you want to go through mine? Okay. So these games were originally on Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and then there was a reimagining of it that came out on PlayStation. But I'm going back to Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. We know the Maximo series on like PS2 happened, and it was more or less the reimagining. But no, I want throwback Ghosts and Goblins, super difficult 2D side-scrolling, like Ghouls and Ghosts 2 or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Kind of what Sega did with Sonic 4, where they went back to the old
2D
platformer. Okay.
Yeah, Because
Spike Jet in
now
chat says
would be a
Rave Race, by
great
the way.
time. Oh, dude, Wave Race is super good. But I think now would be a great time for a super difficult side-scrolling action game like that, where you get 3 power-ups and you get knocked down to, you can basically take 4 hits in that game and you're dead.
With the rise of the roguelike on PCs, you could fucking truly make that an interesting game. Plus, how well Shovel Knight did, there is a demand for that kind of hard.
There's a
platformer.
market for that kind of game. If it's done right.
That's Twitch bait right there, is what that is.
Hell yeah.
That's stream bait.
Oh, well, I guess I'm finishing my list.
Yeah, go ahead and go
my
through the
next
list.
one is I'm a little mad about this because it's the one thing we didn't mention about the Switch presentation, but I want a non-Ubisoft developed, Square-backed fucking Mario RPG.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Actually, I'm not going to say it's interesting you mentioned that because it is, but there's no numbers to it. There are rumors of that Mario RPG Rabbids game you talked about, but you don't want Ubisoft to have any hands in it.
I already know about that, and I know from what I've read, that is a Ubisoft developed game that is going to be put on the Nintendo.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't want that.
Using Ubisoft properties. I don't want
horrible.
Ubisoft Nintendo. I want Square Nintendo. I want Square to make a fucking Mario RPG.
All right.
And I want to play it.
No, I can't.
I'm also down with the comments and saying a remastered brand new Contra would be amazing.
Once again, that relies on Konami.
Sorry, I know, man. But that can go along with Ghosts and Goblins as another good 2D side scroller. Or, I mean, if they want to do another 3D one, I don't care. But my number one pick for the franchise that I've been desperately asking Nintendo to bring back for the entirety of this show, I will say, is F-Zero. Why the hell did you give me nothing?
What happened to F-Zero? You had F-Zero
I was waiting
GX on,
the
was it GX
entire
on GameCube?
presentation for F-Zero to happen. F-Zero GX on GameCube is the last F-Zero game. And I said before, if they actually put out a decent, amazing F-Zero game, that would help sell me a Nintendo console. But they refused to do it.
That's right. There is the spirit of this entire topic. They have so many fucking amazing IPs, and they refuse to do anything with them. They just sit there and languish. They won't even release all their old shit on the virtual console. Instead, they do a slow drip feed, and it's like, fuck, come on, man. I just want some legal way to play these games again, or at least an updated version of them, and they don't give it to me. And nothing screams that more than my desire to have another fucking ActRaiser.
Oh, damn. All right, we're going ActRaiser. ActRaiser.
Action platformer cross SimCity-esque world builder, and I know that sounds fucking amazing on paper, and it was. You played God, and you built cities for your people, and they fucking praised you, and when shit went wrong, you went down into a statue, turned that statue alive, and beat the holy hell out of demons. Fuck yes, ActRaiser. And while we're talking about ActRaiser, I want all those Quintet games again. I want another Illusion of Gaia. I want another fucking Soul Blazer. And I want fucking Terranigma, which never released in America, but was an amazing fucking game. I want another game in the spirit of those. Nintendo, stop fucking with me. I know you can make one of these.
All right.
Star Tropics.
Star Tropics?
Now, this was released on the NES Classic. Star Tropics is an amazing game. Awesome style to it. It very island, Hawaiian friendly setting. Dealt with you trying to find, I believe it was your uncle who was an archaeologist who disappeared, and it turns out he found artifacts that were going to bring down this fucking alien race, and you beat the hell out of them with your yo-yo.
I like fighting people with yo-yos.
Give me another Star Tropics. You gave me Star Tropics 2 on the Nintendo, but that's another franchise that you haven't revisited in way too long. My next one, Advance Wars.
Oh, shit. Advance Wars was super good. Advance Wars was the game that we were all playing before Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it is essentially Fire Emblem. Top down, you move units, you fight little tanks and everything like that. It's modern day. As far as gameplay goes, essentially Fire Emblem. Each unit didn't have like its own story, and they weren't characters. They were just nameless tanks you put over there. But the last one of those to come out was Dual Strike on the original DS, and they haven't revisited that franchise since, which is a goddamn travesty.
And putting all their money in Fire Emblem.
Absolutely.
They don't want multiple turn-based tactics games. But I think turn-based tactics games, there can be a million of those. I love that style of
Yeah,
gameplay.
that's something that I'm surprised you don't see more of on Steam.
Yeah. Also
Like
from
with how
comments,
I don't want
Duck
to say
Hunt.
cheap, but
I
yeah,
gotta
a new Duck Hunt would be a nice throwback to the old days there, Spike.
I mean, if they're gonna keep all this gimmicky nonsense and you got motion controllers and all this dumb stuff, then why not a Duck Hunt that I can take with me? Shoot, my little
Absolutely.
baby controller.
You could just fucking tap. You know what they would do? They would turn this. This could be their next mobile game. They would turn it into like a fucking tap game. I can see them.
Yeah, but then you got to pay
see that
$3 to
dick move.
unlock more ducks.
Yeah, and I can see them doing that dick move. I got two more on my list. One, fucking give me a Chrono Trigger 2. I know I had Chrono Cross on the PlayStation. I know that that team who made that has now been scattered to the four winds. But give me
That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't
Chrono
put it on
Trigger
my list.
3.
There's negative chances for that one.
Yeah, I mean they're yeah. I wish I could say that that's even slightly on the horizon, but it's not.
Chrono Trigger 2 or 3 or whatever one you call it would be a launch game for the Dreamcast 2. It's just not going to happen.
My final game. Now this one hurts a little bit because there have been all these rumors about it coming back and then it gets pulled out. And then the guy who made it did a Kickstarter on it trying to do a spiritual successor. But let's be honest, Dennis Dyack's kind of a fuck up and wasn't able to get that going and keeps rebooting it. But then it turns out he was hiring pedophiles or some shit allegedly. And he's a fucking train wreck. So it falls on Nintendo to give me an Eternal Darkness 2. But they're not going to.
No.
When was the last time you saw Nintendo put
release
anything to an M-rated game?
Oh, no. Why would they do that? That ruins their entire motto, which is shovel out cheap shit for parents to buy for their kids.
A AAA Nintendo Switch Eternal Darkness would have me buy that fucking console day one. But they're not going to do it. They're going to fall back on their two big icons, Mario and Zelda, which make them money. Because let's face it, as much as I love Samus, Metroid makes Nintendo no money. As much as I love Star Fox, the disaster that was Star Fox Zero means you're not going to see another one of those games for a while either. But they refuse to give me what I want.
Man, this is a depressing topic of the week. I'm not gonna lie.
It's bad.
I'm super bummed now. Because these are all the things that we had talked about. Because when we did our end of the year conversation, when we were talking about what we wanted to see from the Switch presentation, what it would take for Nintendo to sell us that console, and they proceeded to hit none of the marks.
No. I would have been happy if they just opened up the Virtual Console. And they didn't even do that. At least they didn't mention it, if they're going to do it later.
Well, it's just annoying because after that presentation, you still had people Googling what games were actually launching for the system. Because they didn't actually say it. No, we know that now. We didn't know during the presentation.
Well, it's because I think that this console is half-baked. I think it needs another 6 months to a year to really have games to go along with it. But it can't wait that long because you're going to have the Scorpio out by now. And next year, I can almost promise you're going to start hearing hints of what Sony's big console is going to be, their PlayStation 5. So they needed to get this out while they can, and it shows in the lineup. This topic was meant to be a little bit more joyful than it was. It's supposed to be us remembering, hey, remember all these great games?
Remember those things that made us love Nintendo in the first place? Remember how they stopped doing that like 8 years ago and they fucking hate us now?
Instead, it's kind of turned into a wake mourning the death of Nintendo. And I don't want to be hyperbolic and say, oh, Nintendo's dead and they're going to die and fade away.
They're never going to die. They're going to keep clinging on because they do have a hardcore fan base. They do have a really strong mobile division. Now, the big question is, when are we going to hear about a new mobile console from Nintendo? Because if they're supposed to be touting the Switch as their new mobile console, considering that it is technically mobile, they're dead. They're done. That thing can't compete with smartphones and everything else. That doesn't fit in my fucking pocket. So there still has to be something else in the works for them.
So here's
what's Pokemon going to be on? Because they sure shit did an announcement for the Switch.
You bring up a good point, and that's something I do want to hammer home. The Nintendo Switch is neat. They kept during the presentation. They kept saying console. They wanted to make sure that you knew this was a console over and over and over again.
It's not a handheld device.
But it's not a console either. And this is Nintendo trying to have their cake and eat it too again, and they're just going to get fucked by both sides. Because people who are playing mobile games don't do it even on the 3DS anymore. They do it on their fucking phone because it's small, it's portable, and they can take it anywhere. And then you got the Switch, which for consoles, but people who have consoles want the power, and they want the AAA games that are on there, and they want that third-party support, which they don't get that either. So who the fuck is this console for?
Well, like, okay, so the Nintendo Switch. Where do I put my Blu-rays? Oh, right, I can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't need
any
to
of
do
my media.
that shit.
Like, well, I'm just saying, if they're trying to make it as, like, again, this goes back to they don't want it to be the console you own. They want it to be an accessory console to the console you own. There's still no reason to buy it over a PlayStation or an Xbox. This is specifically targeting people that already have one of the two good consoles. I don't think there's a huge fan base of people that are going to be out there that only own a Switch and nothing else. I don't see it.
No, I don't see it either. And that's not a good place for Nintendo to be in, because that
It's
means
not.
that means that the Switch is not their primary, it's their secondary or tertiary, even if you own all three.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Which
Anyways,
I do know some people that are getting the Switch. I know people that were excited and pre-ordered it. You know what they already own? Both the other consoles.
that's GamePoints episode 75.
Don't pre-order.
Thanks for watching us. If you watch us here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, we do broadcast live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do open up the chat for anyone who wants to come in, so I appreciate the people who are here. Cool Cat, Spike, Jet, Faid, anyone else who was watching at the same time. Thank you. We always appreciate audience interaction. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to kind of do the same. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Follow us if you're on Twitch. Go to Facebook and follow us there if you want to get updates on when the show goes. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at GamePoints PST. If you want to follow us individually, I am Stephen Brown at Capitalist Pig 21. That guy over there is David Smith at Palshy_Story.
And I promise we're usually much happier and more energetic.
This has been a very somber episode of GamePoints, and that's kind of a shame
I'm gonna go have a
because I
glass of
wanted this
scotch.
to be really exciting. It's a damn shame. But next week, we have stuff coming out, finally. We got Resident Evil 7 next week. We have Yakuza 0, which looks fucking amazing, actually. And we'll definitely see you then for GamePoints episode 76. Once again, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. We're out of here.